Hello YouTube and people of the interwebs, welcome back to another Doctor Who video. I usually say Doctor Who news video. This is kind of a news video, but it's more of a story time, a hashtag story time. I'm trendy and hip. But yeah, as you can tell by the title, I got to visit the set of Doctor Who filming for the 60th anniversary. I think it was a week ago today, and yeah, it was an amazing experience which I'm going to tell you all about in today's video. But before we do that, if you're new here, please do consider pressing the subscribe button, the like button, the notification button. It really helps me out a lot. Also, apologies for the lack of uploads recently. We've been working really hard on our Doctor Who fan film, Echoes End 2, so yeah, stay tuned for that. If you've seen my recent videos, you'll know that they were filming Doctor Who over in Bristol this time last week. They had David Tennant, Cathrine Tate, Neil Patrick Harris, Bernard Cribbins, etc. all on set, and it was absolutely brilliant, genuinely really cool. They did 2 days of shooting there. The first day I was sat in my bedroom doing nothing, and then I decided midway through day one of their shoot, I was like, you know what, it may be about 2.5 hours away, but I'm going to book myself a train ticket. I managed to convince one of my friends, George, to come along with me. And yeah, at the crack of dawn the next day, I set off for Bristol and met George there. Now, I'll briefly run through day one of filming, which I wasn't actually there for, but yeah, just to let you guys know what was happening on the set. There were loads of extras, loads of weird things going on. All the extras were fighting, and it looks kind of post-apocalyptic. There were what were allegedly bits of a blown up plane all over the floor. It was clearly set in the modern day times as well. There were lots of action shots of David Tennant running through this chaos and looking around all dramatic like the amazing Chad that he is. Later on in the day we then saw Neil Patrick Harris, who's presumably playing the Celestial Toymaker. We don't know that though, it's only it makes sense. And I can tell you why it makes sense later on in the video. But yeah, we saw Neil Patrick Harris face down David Tennant, and they did this sort of weird little dance together, which you can see on screen now. We don't really have any context to that, but what we do know is that Russell T Davies, who's the writer and the show producer, the showrunner of the 60th anniversary, has said that Neil Patrick Harris is playing the Doctor's greatest foe, the Doctor's greatest villain ever, apparently, which could just be hyperbolic media speak, because they do tend to say that a lot, or they could mean a genuinely massive threat that the Doctor will really struggle to overcome. Later on day one, we saw unit soldiers rock up with the big guns, and a car blew up. Loads of cool, funky explosions. As I mentioned earlier, we saw Cathrine Tate and Wilfred, and Wilfred's in a wheelchair being wheeled by Cathrine Tate, which is really, really cool. But yeah, as I say, we don't have much context other than the assumption that Neil Patrick Harris is playing the Toymaker. Now, here's credence of why I think that's true, and this is what I got to witness with my own eyes on the second day of filming. First up, we rocked up to the filming hours in advance before the actors were there, before anything had even started, and we got this sort of view, which was just people setting up. There wasn't much to talk about. I did, however, meet a bunch of people who recognised me from YouTube, so shout out to all of you guys, I really appreciate it. If you ever do see me in public, please feel free to come and say hello. Yeah, it's really nice meeting you guys, and it makes it feel like more of a sense of Doctor Who community, so yeah, thanks guys. There was one person in particular, and she was there, stood next to me while they were filming, and she airdropped me a bunch of these pictures, which she'd taken the morning of, and she'd managed to get up really close to the actual shop, window. Now I say actual shop, it's a crepe shop that they've redecorated to make this toy shop, and yeah, here's the pictures of that toy shop which she managed to airdrop over to me.
I'm gonna ask if we can
time travel.
I don't want to be too rude, so I'm gonna ask if we can take a picture by there. Probably not before 7 to 8 or so. Not until the episode's actually out.
Yeah, for a while.
Oh, why can't it be soon? I'm too excited, I do.
Now, it's a toy shop. The Toymaker, toy shop, and then there's this sign from 2 days before filming somewhere where it says the best Toymaker of the year or something along those lines. So Yeah, it's looking incredibly likely that Neil Patrick Harris is playing the Toymaker. Now, the one question I do have is, on the filming days in Bristol, he looks like this with his little top hat and all that swankiness, but in the promo image released by the BBC, he looks like this. That looks more Toymaker-y, that looks more like I don't even know. Maybe he's wearing disguises or something like that. When I was at filming, I also got to see the TARDIS, like the TARDIS itself, which is really cool. It was only for a fleeting moment as we walked past because we couldn't really get down this alleyway that it was lodged in, but once again, people to the rescue. There are hundreds of people out there on Twitter that managed to get a good proper look at it in the morning before the filming was taking place, and yeah, it was parked in the alleyway down here. Now, the actual scene that they were filming is just like it, when I was there at least, it wasn't that exciting. It was, because they have to keep shooting it over and over again. There was one really, really big long shot that took probably about 2 hours to film, and it starts on this clock. The camera, it's like on a massive jib, if you know what a jib is, if you're like a media person. It was on like a camera jib at the top, starts on a clock, swoops down into the alleyway as Tennant and Tate leave the TARDIS. They start to walk down the alleyway, they're having a nice little chit-chat. There was a bit of dialogue overheard, which, yeah, this is mildly and possibly majorly spoilery for the episode, so if you don't want any spoilers, do turn off now. But in this one long shot, when Tennant and Tate leave the TARDIS, Cathrine Tate, well, Donna, says, "That Mel, she's great, isn't she?" And the Doctor does his own little, "Oh yes, ah." Because, yeah, it's David Tennant doing the 10th Doctor voice. He's not doing his natural Scottish voice, for anyone wondering. But yeah, who's Mel?
Mel? Oh yeah, really?
Well, there's two melodies, or Mels, we've had in Doctor Who. Bonnie Langford from the classic series, or River Song / Melody Pond. Are either of those returning for the 60th? I mean, there was an alleged leak on Reddit ages ago about a classic companion coming back. There was also an alleged leak, which was a bit waffly, but maybe it's true, about Mel coming back in the 60th, or some character called Mel, which is seeming likely since we've now heard Cathrine Tate talk about Mel, so maybe that's a classic companion return. Maybe Mel is coming back, or maybe, and I think this is a quite distinct possibility, maybe it's just a joke. Like, I tried to think of famous Mels. I'm going to Google famous Mels, and I'm pretty sure the only one that comes up is Mel B. Mel Allen, an American sports player. Mel B, English singer, former member of the Spice Girls. Mel. I think maybe it could be someone like Mel B, and maybe they're just making a jokey reference to a song that was heard, or something like that. I mean, Russell has put in, like, Britney Spears' Toxic into his Doctor Who before, the Scissor Sisters, or The Sound of Drums, Voodoo Child, whatever. Maybe there is just modern pop music in there, and they're making a joke about that, and we're looking into it way too deeply, so don't get your hopes up, because it might just be that. Anyway, I'll go back to talking about this really, really impressive long shot. Anyway, the camera then pans from Tennant and Tate. It tracks them down the thing, panning across the street. They get to the end of the road. They cross over the road towards the toy shop, and they head inside. And that's all in one shot, and it looks really cool. Obviously, they went back and did loads of close-ups to get as much coverage as possible, but yeah, that was the predominant scene they were filming while I was there this time last week. Also, a funny little thing to note as well, David Tennant has like a personal hairstylist who's constantly like doing that to his hair and getting the spiked look, which is just really funny. I would also like to say, while I was there, everyone was so nice. As I said, there were a few people that recognised me from YouTube, and like, no one was rude. They were all really polite, really nice, and yeah, as I say, come and say hi if you ever see me. But also the security were really, really nice. Like, they were just having a chat with everyone. They were really polite, really respectful. The amount of times they had to say, "Could you guys clear a path from the road and stand over there to make sure it's safe for vehicles to come through," and everything. And not once did they get edgy or rude or aggressive. They were all really, really friendly, polite, kind and nice. So massive props and shout out, and thank you to the security there for allowing us absolute nerds to stand and watch. There were a lot of people there, like loads of people. There was only one kind of disruption throughout the entire filming day, where there was this somewhat like crazy old woman, like probably an ultimate Karen, that just sort of walked in and was shouting incoherent stuff, and security had to go and deal with her. That sounds like they took her out the back of the studio and shot her. They didn't. Apart from that, everyone was really respectful, really nice, and it was really, really cool. It was also a boiling hot, sweltering day, so luckily I managed to sort of shelter in shade for a bit of it, and that was just cool. Quite literally cool. Yeah, no, never mind. But yeah, I'll play a bunch of the footage I took. As I say, a lot of it's recurring takes. The footage I've used in this video, most of it I shot on either my phone or the camera that you're being spoken into right now, or some of it, as I've mentioned earlier, like I nabbed from people on Twitter, or some of the people out there who watched my channel airdropped me, which was really helpful.
Sorry.
Oh my god, smell that.
Guys, you're gonna keep it tight, keep going to get it.
But yeah, the scene they were shooting was a period piece. Day 1, it was clearly in the present day. Day 2, it was in probably like the 1930s. They had a bunch of old-fashioned cars roll up to set. Thank you very much for watching this video. Please do remember to like, comment, subscribe, turn on the notification bell to make sure you keep up to date with all the latest and greatest Doctor Who news. And if you're wondering why it's taken me so long to post this video, it's because I've been working on a Doctor Who fan film, Echo's End, which you can see on screen. Here's a bunch of shots from it. It's taking so long to film, but it's so fun. This guy's in it, Cyberman, and another Cyberman from over here. But yeah, check out that. Check out Echo's End 1. The sequel's on its way. There's a trailer coming relatively, hopefully, somewhat, probably soon. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.
Don't forget to click below.
Subscribe to the Confused Adipose.